This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Welcome to Covered in Pet Hair, a boozy show for pet lovers on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with a dog lover and pet professional that has a special place in her heart for fearful dogs. I will tell you all about her and introduce you as soon as we come back from these messages from our sponsors. Hi, I'm Isabel Alvarez-Arata, the host of Covered in Pet Hair. You know the expression, cats have 9 lives? Well, what if you could give them one more? The Give Them 10 movement is on a mission to help give cats an extra life. How? With spay and neuter. Spaying and neutering your cat helps them live a longer, healthier life. And it helps control free-roaming cat populations too. Learn more about the benefits of spay and neuter and meet Scooter, the neutered cat, at GiveThem10.org. That's GiveThem10.org.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with a pet parent, a dog trainer. She's a professional dog walker and pet sitter. She's an adventure seeker, a road tripper, a foodie, a cocktail connoisseur. She's a coffee lover that was born and raised in Texas. She is a fur mom to 8 pets, 9 pets, 10 pets. Is it 10? Yes, it's 10 pets. She's fur mom to 6 dogs, Cash, Madison, Maya, Ellie, Jackson, and Marlo, 2 cats, Remy and Finnegan, and 2 horses, Grace and Phoenix. She is Hannah Alsup, and she is with 3 Dog Pet out of Keller?
Yes.
Keller, Texas. Welcome, Hannah. It's so great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. I so enjoyed meeting you at the Texas Pet Sitters Conference. I do plan to ask you about that. But before we get into all the things that you do for pets, including dog training, pet sitting, all the things, I want to introduce our drinking game today. So anybody at home participating in our drinking game, anytime you hear this word,
the secret word is 3.
Take a drink of whatever you're enjoying, but please be over 21 in the U.S. to partake, never drink and drive, and always drink responsibly. So what are you having today, Hannah? I saw a beautiful red cocktail over there.
Yeah, I'm having a raspberry lemonade kombucha.
Ooh, so is there any alcohol in there? Is there any spirit in there?
Yes, there is vodka, some lemon juice, and then berries. It's supposed to be like a punch with some mint, and then the kombucha.
Oof, that sounds amazing and so refreshing.
Yeah, it really was after today's heat.
Well, I'm actually having a little less refreshing. I'm having something a little more coffee inspired. It is an amaretto mudslide because I really wanted coffee.
Ooh.
I really wanted that like latte, but it's after 3 p.m. And if I drink any coffee after 3 p.m., I'm up like vacuuming for the rest of the day.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. So this is delicious. Cheers. Thank you for being on the show.
Cheers.
And it's great to see you after the Texas Pet Sitters Conference.
Yes, it really is.
First of all, how did you like the conference?
Oh, I loved it. Not only was it a great just connecting with people in the industry, but also just gaining different knowledge. I cannot remember his name, but just loved the speaker that we had talking about the aquariums and how to properly take care of them for all of the aquatic animals that we have. It was super great information, as well as loved having the dog trainers there because they're able to speak to a large crowd of people that work with dogs 24/7, and they gave some great tips and tricks.
Totally. I agree. And so it was aquarium keepers that was there. And I agree.
Yeah.
I don't take care of pets anymore, and I have no interest in having an aquarium at any point in time in my life. But it was really cool to learn about what pet sitters should be looking for so that they can do right by the little creatures in the aquariums.
Absolutely. I gained a lot of knowledge there, and I was like, okay, gotta make sure I write all this down.
It's so funny because I always say that the pet sitting industry is like the ugly stepchild of like the pet industry. Like I feel like it's totally underrepresented, underappreciated, and people have no idea that pet sitters go to these conferences and we learn about dog training, cat care, we learn about enrichment, we learn about, fear aggression, leash aggression, aquarium keeping, bookkeeping, all the things that we learn about as professional pet sitters. I'm no longer in the pet industry, but I consider myself adjacent to it since I still work with professional pet sitting businesses on their, online presence team. So I love to hear you say that you enjoyed it. Have you been to any of the conferences before?
No, this is actually my first one.
Amazing. That's so cool. It is one of the best ones to go to. Texas Pet Sitters, I just feel like it's a really well put on conference, but it's also very friendly and like laid back.
Yes.
So it's not as intimidating as going to some other, industry events where you feel like, if I don't know anybody, what am I going to do? Who am I going to talk to?
Well, it definitely helps that we had a great bubbly host, because that always makes the things a way less business feel.
Yeah, thank you. I'm the MC for this conference. I've done it 2 years in a row. So are you going to be joining us for the cruise next year?
Oh, absolutely. I'm so excited about that.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be so great. So the Texas Pet Sitters Association is exactly what the name implies, but they've had a conference for 9 years. This was the 9th year here now in 2024. So the 2025 conference is going to be on a cruise ship. We're leaving out of Galveston next year in February. We're all going to get, our slimming swimsuits since we're all dog walkers and pet sitters, not supermodels. And everybody was talking about how they needed to lose weight in time. They're like, we have a year to lose weight. I'm like, just come as you are. It's going to be great. We're all friends here. Nobody's trying to impress anybody. And I think it's going to be great to get to know each other completely differently than a conference setting. It's going to be a conga line setting.
Yes.
I love it. I can't wait. So I always introduce this show with a game. And you are a professional dog walker, professional pet sitter, and you are a professional dog trainer. So what acronym do you have behind your name and what does that mean?
Yes. So it's the CPDT-KA, and it is one of the standardized tests, kind of one of the only available standardized tests in my field. You can't even apply to take it unless you've had, I believe, 300 hours of working with dogs and clients. And then once you have that 300 hours, it is just a very formal sit-down test where they're going over just, again, that knowledge, or that KA at the end is knowledge assessed. So they're just going over all of the dog training knowledge and making sure that you are suitable to be working with people professionally.
Yes. And that you have enough knowledge. There's too many dog trainers out there that have zero idea what they're doing. They've never been tested because it's an unregulated industry and they're doing more harm than good. So I always say to people, if you have the choice between somebody who has acronyms behind their name and doesn't, definitely choose the one that's actually studied dog cognition and behavior. Please, I beg you. Because I'm not a dog trainer, but I probably know more than the person who just started a dog training business down the street. I can tell you that. Woo! All right. So I always introduce this show with a game because it kind of gets us to get to know you. So this game is all about getting to know your pet peeves as a professional pet care provider and dog trainer. So all of us have kind of things that irk us a little bit when we're working with animals all day long. And so this game is called Pet Peeves. And it's basically from a 1 to 10 scale. You're going to tell me how much these behaviors that are very common dog behaviors irk you. Are you ready to play?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. First and foremost, dogs off leash.
That goes straight to 10. No, absolutely 10.
Same. It makes my blood boil. Okay. A dog that jumps up on you.
I'd probably say that's a 6.
Okay. So I'm 5'1". So that's a 9 to me. Yeah. Especially if it's a big dog. Little dogs too. Big dog, 9. Yeah. Okay. Barking incessantly where you feel like your head's going to explode.
That'd probably be an 8.
8, at least. As a dog walker, I remember I would come in and they would like be pacing and whining because they were so excited that you couldn't even get their harness on, and you were like following them around being like, stop so I can get you outside. What number do you give that behavior?
So I will say there's a reason that some of my numbers are a little bit lower than maybe other people's, and it's mainly just because I know kind of the reasoning as to why these behaviors are happening. But for me, for that one, that's probably going to be like a 4.
Okay, how about happy peeing?
I'd probably say that's like a 3, 4 as well.
Yeah, it's not like it's voluntary, but it's still annoying because you have to clean up and then they're stepping in it.
Yes, for sure.
And for those who don't know what happy peeing is, it's submissive urination. It's when dogs get kind of excited, especially if they're younger and they haven't mastered holding their bladder. They can do a little, what is it? Pibble a little bit.
Yeah, little piddle.
Piddle. That's what it is. Piddle. Okay, so humping you or each other.
I'd probably say that's like a 4 or 5.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, mainly just because I know that it's kind of like with the submissive peeing. A lot of times it's a involuntary behavior, and depending on like the dog and their personalities, they can even be a little bit confused or embarrassed about it. Not all, but just because again, it is just from an excitement situation, I would probably rate that like a 3 to 5 scale.
Okay, pulling on leash, like where you're like flying down the street, you feel like a cartoon.
Yeah, that'd probably be like a 7 or 8.
Yeah, I think that one is not just like a little perturbing. It's just like stress inducing because you feel like, this dog's going to drag me down the street. Danger. Isabel's flying down the street. Okay.
Yeah.
Stealing food from a mate.
That's probably going to be like an 8 or a 9.
That's not fair, right? And some of them are like they're like repeat offenders. So where they like are always like bullying the other dog in the house out of their food. That bothers me.
And again, it's kind of where a lot of some of these numbers might be a little bit lower because for me, that's a management on the client. People want to put dogs too close together when it comes to eating. People will have multiple dogs and have them eating like in a line down a row. And that's just such a setup for a disaster. I have 6 dogs and all of them eat extremely separate from each other. So because of that reason, it's more of like a management thing. So I'm a little bit more lower on some of those numbers because again, I know the reasoning is behind them and how to have that conversation with the client and have to fix that.
Yeah, and also the pet peeve would be then a human peeve because the human did not set them up for success, right?
Yes, absolutely.
There's a lot of human peeves, but we won't go into those. All right, last one, counter surfing.
I'd probably put that as like an 8.
8, because it's so hard to like, these dogs that are like really good counter surfers are so quick at it that like you're like putting away your groceries and there went the bread. So yeah, it can be. I had a counter surfer. Her name was Socks, and boy was she good at it. But it also, it was all about management, like you said. So if I didn't mention it, or maybe I did, what is your biggest pet peeve ever?
I will say you did already nail it on the head because it's off-leash dogs. I will say that is going to be the number one biggest pet peeve overall of everything.
Oh my gosh, me too. I see a dog off leash and I think, and it's always, okay, not to be like judgy, but it's usually like a young guy who thinks it's really cool for his dog to be off leash because he's such a good dog trainer and he's such a macho guy. That the dog like listens to him so well. And I'm like, get your dog on a leash.
Yes. And it's one of those things that one of the reasons why it's probably like my biggest pet peeve is because I've had so many clients come to me specifically because now their dog is reactive because it's gotten attacked by off-leash dogs. I've had a dog who, like one of my dog training friends, her dog was attacked 3 times, 3 separate occasions by off-leash dogs. And she's a dog trainer, but it still set her and her dog back on their training and their progress so much. And that's like a consistent thing. You think that your dog is trained until they run away and they attack another dog or they get into a scuffle.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be my top.
Same, so much same. Okay, so how did you end up in the pet industry?
Yeah, so I work for 3 Dog Pet, and it is a family-owned business. So my mom opened that about 20 years ago. I started working for her doing pet sitting kind of in high school and in college. I went to school for animal behavior, and I kind of already knew that I wanted to do something with animals, but I hadn't pinpointed it exactly. And then I did an internship at the local Humane Society, working and training their dogs just to make them a little bit more appealing to people to come in to kind of get them off of that adoption floor quicker. And again, just kind of working to alleviate their day-to-day stress, because there's a lot of stress that goes into our shelter dogs. And I really fell in love with dog training there, and kind of the rest is history. I came home and I started working for a facility or two, and then after a while, we just decided to open it up under her business, just to kind of keep everything under one umbrella.
That's amazing. Okay, so I would assume, based on what we've talked about so far, that you are a positive-based dog trainer.
Yes, all positive.
Yes, so all positive. She has acronyms behind her name, and she uses positive only, not balanced, not aversive, just a positive reinforcement dog trainer. If you don't know what that is and you're talking to a dog trainer, ask them. And if you trust us, send them on their way if they don't say that they are a positive reinforcement dog trainer.
Yeah.
Please, 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 please. You will pay the consequences later. Trust me when I tell you that. Okay, so you work full-time in the industry. You work with your family-based business. You are a dog walker, pet sitter, and dog trainer. I assume you work with a variety of species because you're in Texas.
Anything and everything that we can care for animal-wise, we take care of, except snakes. My mom has never gotten into the reptile field very much. That's kind of the only one. Everything else, we take care of.
You know what's really funny is when I started my dog walking pet sitting business in Northern Virginia, I was like, I don't want to do snakes. And I never, ever really had to take care of snakes because exotics were illegal in that county that we served.
Ah, yeah.
Thank goodness. I mean, I had like a little lizard at some point that I would just like throw little critters in, and that was okay. But like full snake, no way, not happening. Okay, so Because you work with so many animals, but you're also a dog trainer, what do your days look like? How much is spent with pet care? How much is spent dog training?
Mine, I would say nowadays is really quite balanced, and it's more balanced just because a lot of my pet sitting clients have kind of transitioned over to dog training clients. So actually, just like as an example, one of the dogs that I had today, he started out as pet sitting, and now I see him Monday through Friday, and we do a combination of just drop-ins and doing dog walks and then doing training. So I do what I call a dog about town service. So I go to the client's house, I pick up their dog, and then we frequent dog-friendly locations that's just kind of near their house, whether that is a pet store, a dog-friendly restaurant, just local parks, or even the vets, just to, again, make those experiences positive for the dog. So that way when the client takes them out, it's not as overwhelming for the client.
That is such a good idea. I feel like I've never really heard of dog-specific care services offering something like that. That's a really great idea. Do you do like a debrief after like your visit to the vet or to the restaurant to kind of tell your client what it is you worked on, what they need to do at home?
Yeah, so it really kind of depends on the dog and kind of where they're at in their training journey. We as a company use a software called Precise Pet Care, which I know that you are familiar with. So we're able to give a general update in the Precise Pet Care. And then again, kind of depending on where their dogs are at in their training. So for the dog that I had today doing the dog about town, he's still very fresh into it. So I'm probably going to be having a meeting with his mom probably about every week and a half, whether that's just a quick chat or an actual in-depth in-person training review. Just again, make sure that there's no questions, no issues with the dog when the owner is trying to do the things that I have trained, and making sure that everyone is just happy overall. So again, it really kind of depends. Another dog that I've had since he's 8 weeks old, and we are still doing the dog about town service for him. For him, it's mainly just like a socialization, and his mom is just busy through meetings. So it's just a nice relief for her that I'm able to take him. He gets that socialization practice. He gets tired, and then I can bring him back home. So for her, we don't do as many check-ins, just kind of whenever she is there and I can chat with her, we just kind of go over it. But he's definitely a lot further in his training progress. So it's just kind of, hey, all is good. We had a good encounter, or hey, this we need a little bit more work on.
That is so cool. I think that's such a great idea because a lot of these things are really necessary, maybe the first year or two of life, and then you reap the benefits of those kind of it is an expense and it's an investment. And so you reap the benefits of those for the 15, hopefully, years that you have that dog. I can't think of a better way to invest in your pet than having somebody come in, give them exercise, give them entertainment, give them enrichment, teach them, manners, get them socialized. I feel like it's so important for dogs to not just live in, a room. My dog right now is laying on my, on my office floor. And I think it's so important. She's like, literally like, when are we going for our WALK? And because it's usually around this time, and they look forward to these things, and they like to kind of relate to the environment. And they like these adventures if you start them early. Obviously, if you wait too long, then it's the dog that you can never leave alone. It's the dog that doesn't do well with a pet sitter if you never start these things early. So I think that's such a great idea. So you do dog walking for, potty breaks. You do pet sitting while people are traveling. You do the dog about town. That is kind of like an enhanced dog walk, I would say. What other services do you guys offer?
So we do all kind of like pet sitting. So we do cat care, other animals, farm care, etc. But when it comes to dog training, we also do essentially kind of like a reverse board and train. So instead of the dog coming to my house, the humans go on vacation. And when the humans go on vacation, I have a list of things that the client is wanting their dog to cover or work on. And then we will spend that time through the pet sits, whether that's just my 30-minute, 45-minute drop-ins, or if I'm doing like an overnight with the client. And then when they came home, we have a debrief of everything that has been going and trained during the time that they were away.
I love that so much. I think that's such a great idea. Again, keeping the pet in their home environment, teaching them what they need to learn, starting at home. Not to say that they don't ever practice these skills elsewhere, but they start at home where they're going to be most of the time. I love that so much. What is the name of that service? Just so that I'm familiar.
We don't necessarily have it. It's really just kind of like a board and train, really is kind of how we have it labeled. It's just we have it in the description that it's where the humans leave instead of the dog coming to us.
That is brilliant. I really, truly believe it's brilliant. I know that you have so much to offer dogs as far as skills and things that you teach them, but you have a special place in your heart for fearful dogs and dogs that need a little confidence boost. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, I'm going to ask Hannah all about dog fears, what makes them scared, what doesn't, and how we can help our beloved dogs, get a little more confident living in the world that, we run for them. So don't go anywhere. I will be right back with Hannah Alsup.
Ready for the biggest cat celebration in the world? Come to the CFA International Cat Show and Expo in Cleveland, Ohio on October 12th and 13th. The expo is the world's grandest cat celebration, seamlessly blending pedigree cat exhibitions with feline welfare and rescue initiatives. It captivates over 10,000 feline enthusiasts each year, celebrating all cats, whether rescue or pedigreed, in a shared spirit of love and unity. Dive into cat-themed activations and enlightening educational sessions. Marvel at 1,000 non-pedigree and pedigreed cats, adoptable felines, and explore over 100 cat-themed vendors. It's an event dedicated to honoring our beloved felines and their admirers. And guess what feline influencers are coming to meet and greet? YouTube cat video sensation Aaron's Animals, as well as Nathan the Cat Lady, Lambo Leisha, Choopy, and many, many more. Gather your cat crew and do whatever it takes to head to the CFA Cat Expo. It's a whisker-wiggling, tail-twirling extravaganza you won't want to miss. Get your tickets at CFACatExpo.com. That's CFACatExpo.com.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arada, and today I'm speaking to Hannah Alsup, a 3-dog pet who is a dog trainer, pet sitter, dog walker, who does so much for the pets in her care. She can, like many pet sitters who do both pet sitting and dog walking and dog training, she can kind of overlap her services so that the dogs are not only having their needs met, but also learning skills in the process. And I know that one of the skills that, Hannah, you like to teach is confidence. So for our second game today, I want to invite you to play Fear Factor Dog Edition. And I'm going to give you 1 minute on my handy dandy clock here. Come on, clock, turn on. All right, so I'm going to give you 1 minute, and all you have to do is tell me things that scare dogs. Are you ready to play?
I'm ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, so we got all the sounds. We got garbage trucks, we got garbage disposals, ice makers. We have textures, whether that's tile, gravel, carpet. We have people who are wearing different types of attire, sunglasses, hats, people who are tall, people who are wearing baggy clothes. I've had dogs get afraid of a bag on a counter. I've had them get afraid of a trash bag. I've had a dog become afraid of a skateboard, their own toys. I've had a dog become afraid of, like, I have a gardening bed outside and my puppy for the first time was like, whoa, what the heck is this? Let's see. Their own food bowl. I've had that a time or two where out of the context of being actually given food, they're like, whoa, this is scary and what is this? I've had a dog be afraid of a water bowl before, again as well, when it's empty, whole different realm for whatever reason. Ooh, now I'm coming close. Let's see.
Great job.
Oh my God.
Perfect. Yeah, you did a great job. Okay, so I have a dog that is very, very sensitive. She's scared of thunderstorms. She's scared of fireworks. Thankfully, in El Paso, we don't get a lot of either one of those things. But she's so sensitive that, like, even the storm is coming in, you see her shaking. Like, it's not even noise. It's just that change in the atmospheric pressure, whatever it is that she's sensitive to. But also, she's very scared of hardwood floors and tile floors. And when we were traveling a year ago, we went to, like, this southwestern hotel that had these, I can't remember what they're called, but they're like clay tiles, like red clay Mexican tiles. They have a name, I just can't remember. She, during the day, was terrified of them. At night, didn't even notice them. And we realized that it was not just texture of the tile, it was also potentially the reflection of the light, the way that it looked to her, the shadows. Yeah. So it's really interesting to me when I see fears, because I feel like some of it is really an investigative process. Do you find that, like, you have to kind of go full, like, detective on certain behaviors to find out what is actually causing the fear?
Absolutely. There's been a lot of times where a client will tell me, hey, this is what's going on. And without, being in their home, we'll go through a few things and then, hey, that's not working. It's still this. And then I'll even go over to their house. We'll work on it. Sometimes it does take a whole village, though. I mean, I have a dog that I've been working with for a few years, and he's definitely has some anxiety, has some just kind of little quirks to his personality. Love him just as much. But recently, he's actually even developed some more kind of troubling things. They started talking to specialists and reaching out to different people. So sometimes it really does just take a whole village to really be able to figure out what's going on. They were finally able to kind of narrow it down to a traumatic incident happening when he was a puppy, surrounding with potty training, actually. And so that's kind of what we've narrowed it down to. But again, sometimes it does just take like a whole village.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so important to see what the dog trainer is seeing, what the veterinarian's seeing, what the specialist, like neurologist, might be seeing, what the pet parent is seeing, because when we start making assumptions, we might miss something. So it's really like what you are observing without any assumptions, without any like preconceived notions. This is what I'm seeing. And then together you can always potentially, and some mysteries will never be solved, but potentially at least manage or work your way around them, right?
Yes.
I remember one of my friends who's a dog trainer online, or somebody was posting a situation with a dog that was scared of the refrigerator. Probably the reflection, wouldn't come into the kitchen because of it. And so they were never going to get rid of the refrigerator. They weren't going to be able to explain to the dog what the refrigerator does. Like, we like the refrigerator. Yeah. So they started just just putting peanut butter all over the fridge. I mean, it's messy, but apparently it worked. So it's not knowing where the fear comes from, and then we can work through it. So what fears do you find are pretty common in your area? I know Dallas is terrible, terrible weather. So do you find that like storm aversions, noise aversions, do you find other kind of fears are more common for your clients or what you're experiencing?
Definitely thunder is always a big one. For most clients, I would say that already have like an anxious dog or maybe has some anxious tendencies. Thundering, the storms are always kind of added into that. But I would definitely say socialization, just kind of like the lack of that. So just different textures. A lot of people focus on making sure that our dogs are comfortable with people and dogs. And I mean, that's great. And it's great to check off, but we always really want to make sure that we're covering all 4 parts of socialization. So not only is my dog comfortable with different surfaces, so whether that's tile, wood flooring, bubble wrap, things that have grip, things that don't have grip. And then noise socialization, making sure that they're comfortable with the garbage truck, because I have so many clients that'll tell me, well, I really can't can't take my dog for a walk because they don't like this noise, whether that's construction going on down the street, whether that's dogs barking from their backyard at the dog, whether that's, the garbage truck going down the street. And then, of course, too, ever since kind of COVID happened, our dogs have just been a little under-socialized even more. So also just the unfamiliarity of seeing random people on the street or people who look different and have dogs with them or are just walking and they're not paying attention to the dog. Sometimes that can be very unsettling. They're like, oh, should I be nervous? You know, you're looking at your phone, you're walking very stiff, etc. So I would say it really kind of just comes back to the socialization. And that's kind of a lot of what I deal with is just making sure that our dogs are comfortable in all aspects.
Yeah, just living the life that they live. It's funny that you should say the whole hat thing when you were talking about the fears. When I was a professional pet sitter and I had employees, and I always told, especially the men, because women don't always wear hats, so it wasn't that common. But the men on my team always wore like a cap, and I even gave out like an embroidered the Wag Pack cap. And when I gave it out, I was like, guys, if the dog seems to be a little nervous around you, the first thing you do is take your sunglasses, take your hats off so they can see you, because they don't know you. Yeah. They don't know if you're there for good reason. Even the friendliest dog could be like, hey, you look different than you did last week.
Yeah.
So because your physical appearance has changed, and their physical appearance doesn't change that much. They're not used to that. We're able to like go from, I can go blonde. Little anecdote, I actually had a Britney Spears brunch at my house because we were reading her book, and I wore a blonde wig. And when my dog saw me, she was like,
you're not my mom.
She was like, what is that? So really, they do, like, even if it is you and they smell you and they know you, they can still be like, hey, what is going on with you today?
Well, kind of like what you were saying just about your dog with like shadows. Actually, I had that encounter with my my puppy. She's only about like a year old right now. And my dad was walking into the house over like Easter weekend, and it was just a dark hallway. And I think he was also wearing a hat during the time. My dog is very familiar with my dad and knows who he is. But just in that moment, walking down a dark hallway, he's also a very tall man. And having his hat on, she like did a whole alert bark and was like, oh my gosh. And then he got to where she could actually see him in the light. And she was like, oh,
exactly.
Okay, it's cool.
Exactly. Thankfully, he didn't get bit or he didn't get lunged at, right? But that is, sometimes we say there was no reason for the dog to attack, but we don't know that, because for the dog might have been like, who the heck are you? And you are not allowed in here.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I know you probably you design your treatment. Let's just call it treatment, or your methods according to the fear, the dog, their age, all those things. But what do you use that's kind of like common in your toolbox to address fears in dogs?
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, it's definitely an assessment. So, kind of figuring out, is my dog so afraid that he's not able to even take food? Is my dog able to take food, but is it only able to take food if it's 5 feet away from the scary thing? So I definitely have to do like the assessment. And then I would say one of the biggest tools and one of the biggest things that people kind of just overlook is, especially when we're working with a, underconfident or under-socialized, fearful dog, always make the problem so much easier. Slice it thinner. So take what you have at hand and make it like the tiniest portion of that problem and work on that, and then slowly build and build and build. So, if my dog is not comfortable 5 feet away, okay, we're going to work 7 feet away. We're going to start here where you are comfortable, and then we'll see if we can bridge that gap and continue to work. So I'd say that's the biggest thing, is people don't have the patience to want to wait that out and take the time. They want to get quick results. They want to see a result by the end of that 30-minute session. And that's not reality. That's not practical. So I'd say that that's probably like the biggest thing, and one of the biggest things in my toolbox, and something that people comment on all the time, is just how patient I am. And I will wait a dog out. I will work with them wherever they're at. And I definitely think that I had a little bit of a help in that field with one of my dogs. We were doing agility work, and she was very underconfident in that area, and being able to really just take the problem really small and work through it, and then be able to see her actually be able to like run a full agility course. It was like a huge thing at the very end. So be patient, take your time, make things small, and then slowly work your way up.
I love that so much, because I know that some people are like, hey, the dog is scared of the trash truck. Let's leash him up and go to the trash truck. And it's like, no,
yes.
You're only going to make it worse. Do not do that. Maybe, know when the trash truck is coming and have treats ready. And then like in the house, in a safe space, try to see if they'll take a treat, even though the trash truck's driving by. Whatever it may be, start really small before you go lazy and take them. I mean, I see people doing things, even with kids, like where they just like, your kid's scared of water, let me throw them in.
Yes.
You're not throwing my kids in the pool, that's for sure. And you're not taking my scared dog up to what they're scared of, because that's traumatic and horrible to do.
Absolutely.
So what can pet parents who really do want to do something, right? We want to do something. We definitely now learn that it's not just throwing them full throttle into their fear. Do not crate them with their panic. Like my friend Milena DeMartini said, like when people are like, a dog is scared of being alone. So we're going to crate them, and we're going to like use the like heavy duty crate, and we're going to just like close them in with their panic. We don't want to close them in with their panic in a crate. We don't want to throw them with their panic on a leash. No keeping a dog with his panic. But like, let's say that we want to do something, even like a little something every day where we can boost our dog's confidence. What would that be? What does it look like?
Yeah. So it definitely kind of depends on, what the total outcome is being. So let's say that your dog, let's just take the garbage truck as an example. So let's say that my dog is afraid of the garbage truck. Instead of, like we said, taking my dog out there and walking him up to the garbage truck, start inside. YouTube is actually a great resource. There's tons of socialization noise videos on YouTube. It's actually what I tell a lot of my clients that have puppies at home that maybe are not able to, fill every evening with going out to have our dogs check out all these environments, to check out all these different sounds. So, okay, let's go to YouTube. Let's take part of their meal because they're puppies, they're young. Even if they're older, grab a few treats. But let's go to YouTube. Let's type in garbage truck socialization video. Guarantee you're going to pull up like a huge construction video, just different noises. And it'll actually go through all of them. I mean, some of these videos are like over an hour long. And I would just sit there and just feed your dog while they're listening to it. And if your dog's not taking it, just sitting right next to you, move away from the noise. So maybe have the computer playing and go to the next room and feed them. So again, if the problem is still hard where you're at, make it smaller. So, okay, hey, you can't take the food right here, like this close. Let's just go to the next room. And then tomorrow, maybe we'll try to work in there. And then just slowly build it up from there.
That is such a good idea. YouTube, man. I did not know. And would that be helpful for a puppy? Like you just brought home a puppy and you want to like socialize them to noise, but maybe you don't, like I live in El Paso where we don't have a lot of thunderstorms. Maybe I could play something like that for them.
Yeah. And I would say really for all ages. I mean, it's great for puppies because of course, during that socialization window, it's key. But even if you have an older dog who is afraid of noises, it's not a bad idea to start counter conditioning. The progress will be slower just because they have a different reinforcement history than a puppy would be. But it's still the same thing that I would do with an older dog who's showing the same problems, is still start with the YouTube videos, make it a small thing, and then just slowly build from there. But it is a great resource if you have a brand new puppy too.
Okay, is there something that we do with our pets when we raise them that actually hinders their confidence?
So I would say it's a lot of, again, kind of in the socialization. So if your dog is not comfortable saying hi to someone, don't force them to say hi. Don't force them to say hi, even though people will be like, but they have a cookie, so it's fine. It can still make a lasting impression to where they're just either off-put with people and they're just like, I don't care to interact with you. Or it can make them to where they're like, I want nothing to do with you. And I'm going to start to show you that I don't want anything to do with you. So I would always just say, make sure that you're observing your dog's body language. And if you're unfamiliar with dog body language, again, there's tons of online helpful tools. Google, dog body language, even if you want to do it more specific to your specific breed. Type in, like I have a healer right next to me. I type in healer body language just so I can get clear examples of what I should and shouldn't be looking out for. And then when you're out in public, watch your dog. I see so many times people go to like a farmer's market and they pay no attention to their dog because they're absorbed in the environment themselves. And you have this terrified dog that's walking next to you. So if you're going to take your dog out in the world, make sure that you have some, time to be able to just solely focus on them and not everything else that's going on, because we want to make it a positive experience. So the more you take them out, the more enjoyable it is for the both of you.
And yeah, checking ourselves probably has a lot to do with it too. Like,
yeah,
a lot of these behaviors when it comes to fear, and I know because my fearful girl over here who's yawning right now, appeasing over there.
Yeah.
She is, it's very easy to be like, come on, let's go. Like, don't be scared of the tile. It's fine. But I feel like they pick up on that. And it's probably counterproductive for us to be a little irritated when they show these behaviors.
Absolutely. And that brings up a great point. I always just tell my clients to make sure whatever you do, doesn't matter what it is, whether that's sitting outside on the front porch, drinking coffee and just watching, the world go by, or if I'm going to take my dog to my kid's soccer game and we're going to work, through exposing them through that. Make sure it's enjoyable for you and the dog. Because if it's not enjoyable for you, the dog is going to feel that. And then sometimes they're like, well, I don't really want to continue to do this because it's not fun. I feel that you are frustrated. Or we do get on to them because we're like, hey, we're at a baseball game. You won't sit down. Just sit down. So make sure that you have the time to want to focus on them. Make sure it's something that you are enjoying, because it's only going to make your relationship better in the long run. It's going to make spending time with your dog and doing those activities more fun and craveable, not only for you, but also your dog. Looking forward to that during the day where you're like, hey, it's that time that we normally get to do that fun thing. Let's go do it. So always say, just make sure that you're enjoying your time with your dog. Yes. Whatever that looks like.
That is so good. And it's actually so true about everything. So I am a parent to children and pets. And anytime that I'm rushing out the door, all of my lofty goals for parenting, pet parenting, dog training just go out the window because I'm stressed. The pet gets stressed. The kid gets stressed. Nothing goes the way you want it to. So definitely make the time for these things. Plan accordingly. Don't rush it. Take a deep breath, because the outcome is just not going to be what you want it to be if you're just like scrambling. It really is so hard to like put yourself in a good place when you're already stressed out and everybody's looking to you to be that like guiding light, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So how can my audience learn more about you and all the wonderful things that you can teach them?
Yeah. So right now, we have a few things kind of in the works for future, but right now you can always find us and access us at freedogpet.com or on Instagram. We have other social media platforms popping up soon, as well as hoping to do some online dog training, whether that's just a course that you can purchase and take as you go, or doing like Zoom meetings like this. I'm hoping that that'll start to become available to clients in the next few months. And then we're even looking at possibly purchasing a facility. But while those things are in the process, 3dogpet.com is a perfect place to access us.
That is so cool to have a facility where you could play those YouTube videos and have like the ideal dog, the dog that's super socialized, kind of model the behavior for other dogs. I feel like there's so many things you can do with fear and helping dogs with their fear in like group setting, under the right circumstance with the right leader, you making sure that everybody's comfortable, observing everybody's body language, human and canine. I think it's such a great idea. I wish you nothing but the best in all of these plans. Please let me know how I can support you. I just want to propose a toast to you and everything that you're doing for the pets in your area. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
No, thank you seriously for being my guest. I've so enjoyed our chat. It really is such an important topic. I also want to propose a toast to our executive producer, Mark Winter. Thank you, Mark. And to our audience for joining us for these awesome conversations. If you enjoyed this podcast, we have so many experts talking about pet-specific concerns like fear, separation anxiety, nutrition, all the things that you're curious about. My podcast has it in this fun, enjoyable, boozy format. So make sure that you listen to past episodes, like and subscribe, rate this podcast if you enjoyed it, and make sure that you follow Hannah for all the awesome things that she's coming up her way, because I have no doubt that she's going to be somebody that we look to for dog guidance for a long time to come. So here's to a life covered in pet hair, because there's no better way to live. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. I also want to remind you, if you want to learn more about Covered in Pet Hair, please visit coveredinpethair.com or petliferadio.com. Thanks for watching and for listening on Pet Life Radio and on all the podcasting platforms. I will see you next time.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on petliferadio.com.